All right, guys, we're back on the Next Level Agents podcast and rejoined for the third, fourth, or fifth, or seventh, 100th. I don't know. Dustin Runyon, what's up, dude?
What's up, bro? Thanks for having me. I'm glad that you hit me up.
Me too. I'm glad I got on Facebook and saw that you were in town.
Yeah,
That's how this happened, folks.
Yeah.
Dustin posted a picture of the worst ballpark in America, and I was like, he's at his condo, which is in Phoenix, and so
worst ballpark in America. That's to opinion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's a fact. It's
Okay.
actually the ballpark's not trash.
You have yellow seats at the Dodgers, and it's because of the sun. It's because of the sun, not because they used to be white.
That's true. So for those of you who don't know, that I'm a Dodgers fan, and Dustin is a Diamondbacks fan. By the time this airs, it will be so irrelevant. It won't matter. One of us is going to look right. The other one's going to look wrong about this because their playoff series starts tomorrow.
And you have a 72%. No, you've got a 62% chance of being right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're 5-8 so far this year.
62% chance of being right is like 61.5% chance more than I'm used to. So I'll take it.
Yeah, same.
So dude, this is just gonna be you and I talking.
Love it.
But for the sake of, I know you hate this shit, so do I, but for the sake of the listener that doesn't know you, because it's probably like everyone's a real estate agent for the most part that listens, or sort of in our industry, right? Around real estate. Give us a quick rundown of what your business world looks like. We might talk about it later, but probably not, because I want to talk about the trip you and I took to LA recently, and then wherever else our conversation leads, which usually tends to lead in interesting places.
Thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. So what it looks like today is I have a real estate team. We have about 25 agents on the team. We started about 5 years ago. Yeah, we've grown every year since. It was awesome. Actually, I was telling you the other day, I was like, when I left my old brokerage, when you were hounding me for like 6 months to come, and then you asked me like the most powerful question ever. And this was our text the other day, and it got me thinking, and it was the trigger that kind of allowed me to leave. But I think we did. It was our second year or something there, or third year. I'm not sure. But when we left, we were at 27 million. And this year we'll hit about 150 million in Lake Havasu. So I appreciate you bringing me over, dog.
Love you, bro.
Yeah, love you too.
And I want to be really clear. That led to you joining EXP, but that wasn't a question about you joining. Like when I asked you that question, that was me asking you as your friend, because
that was a personal question. Yeah.
Because what I saw was, I didn't think you'd thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I care about you, I don't give a shit. You could have gone to Remax or somewhere else. Didn't matter to me. I mean, I wanted you to come to EXP with us for sure, because I want to be in business with my friends. Like selfishly, that's what I want. But I asked you that because I love you.
Yeah.
And like you and I, when you texted me that the other day, I was like, well, to me, that's the most powerful thing we can do for each other. Sometimes it's like asking ourselves questions. Like I have a reminder that pops up on my phone every morning with 2 questions that I like to ask myself every day.
What are they?
They are well, here, I'm gonna show you the reminder myself. So one of them is a fill in the blank, because it's not for the same person every day.
Mm-hmm.
But is, what do I want to do today to enhance the relationship with, and a fill in the blank person's name. And what do I need to do today that would help me to feel better is another question I use. And then actually I was wrong. So it's third is, and you'll know this because it's from a book you originally recommended to me. And that question is, when it's king time to make a decision, what are the second order consequences of that decision? And what does the warrior need to do in order to execute? So that comes from Warrior, Magician, Lover, King.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So which is the book you recommended originally, which I didn't read for 2 years. And then my amazing coach, Camille Rose Taylor, and I were having a conversation about this a few months ago. And we were talking about that book and sort of the different roles of the warrior, the king, the lover, the magician. And she really helped me to figure out king time. Like the king is the decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that is like level-headed, that has to think of the consequences. But I use the term in my questions, second order consequences. So, okay, if I do something wrong to you, if I hurt you today, the first order consequence is you're hurt, right? But what else does that impact? It impacts Andrew and Britt, Lee, and like all these other people and all these other things, right? Projects going on that you're working on. And so the king has to think about those things. The warrior is going to execute the plan. The warrior is going to go out and do the thing, like in this case, hurt you, or whatever the case is, right? The thing that's got to get done, but it's on the king. Yeah, that's the one who has to make the decision. So using those four, those four, I guess, archetypes or whatever you call them, to think through the way we do things in life. So I use those questions pretty much daily with myself, but I like questions in general. Like I collect questions. I just love. I remember like one time you shared a list of like 100 coaching questions or something like, and like I don't really coach that many people, but I love questions, and so.
Well, they get you to think about things that you haven't thought about, especially if it's a good one.
Yeah.
And so I had a relationship that was deteriorating at the past brokerage, and I wanted to savor it, and I thought leaving it would end it. And you basically asked, how is you staying helping that relationship? And it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was actually making it worse. And so yeah, it's why you got having people like you in your life, and having good people in your life that are willing to ask questions that may be tough for them to ask, and or questions that get you thinking, or objective questions of objectivity, which is really healthy to have. And that's what I love, and I look for in a lot of my partnerships. Like when I go into business with somebody, is I don't want people that are just going to agree with me all the time. I want people that are going to ask me hard questions, and get me thinking. And so, yeah.
100%.
So that was me moving to EXP, and that was fun.
So 100, you said 100, about 150 million this year.
150. Yeah.
But the thing I love is like, you don't personally spend all your time on the real estate team.
No, we have really great people, and like really, really great people. Obviously, if you're in business, you know how powerful, if you're listening to this, and you know how powerful that getting in business with the right people. And I read about it a long time ago, of like hiring people smarter than you, and like getting people in that are better than you, and the self-awareness of knowing your weaknesses, and then hiring people that are 10x better than you at that. And so we have a lot of that. In our company. And then yeah, we have the Apex West, which is the development company. So we have about 500 acres under development right now. We'll build residential subdivisions. And we do land development, from raw land to entitlements, to infrastructure, water, sewer, electric, to grading, to paving, to actually we have Apex Custom Homes now, where we build on top of the developments as well.
I just saw a bunch of video from that build you guys just completed it. Man, that was nice.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Super nice.
Yeah.
So I just share that for the listener to know, like, because we're probably actually not going to talk about real estate a lot. Maybe we will, I don't know. But when we do talk about real estate, you actually know what you're talking about. And yeah, but more importantly, I figured we'd talk about, so my coach, Camille, I mentioned her earlier.
Yeah.
Said to me, hey, that's cool. You and Dustin, you and your buddy went to LA a couple of weeks ago and went to go see Robert Greene and Ryan Holiday talk. She's like, you guys should do it. You should do a podcast on your takeaways. And I was like, damn it. You're right. I should. That's a really good idea. So today when you came in, I was like, there's perfect opportunity to not have to shoulder that load all on my own. So I figured we could talk about that. We don't have to spend the whole time talking about that, but I'll share my take on what that was, and then we can talk about takeaways.
Yeah, and then for those who don't know, Robert Greene, he authored the 48 Laws of Power, and then Ryan Holiday was his mentee, and Ryan Holiday has written Ego is the Enemy, The Obstacle is the Way.
Trust Me, I'm Lying, Discipline is Destiny, like 14 or 15 books.
Daily Stoic, yeah, multiple million sold.
Yeah, like he sold a lot of books.
A lot.
And it's funny, as a dinner the other night, the 48 Laws of Power came up, and I was talking with somebody about it, who he had realized that he broke one of those laws and it cost him.
Oh, really? What was the law?
Outshine the master.
Oh yeah.
It bit him.
Rule number one.
That's what I said. I looked over him. I go, dude, that's rule number one.
That rule has done more for my life than any other rule.
Yeah.
Any other rule.
So let's talk about that, because I think for the people that have read the 48 Laws of Power, I think a lot of people have this similar experience what I had, which is started to read the book and I went, ew.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I like this.
Yeah.
And then, but when I read the book, actually based on a conversation you and I had about something totally different, And then you're like 48 laws of power. And I was like, I don't know, I had a different view. So I went and picked it up and read it. Um, here's what I tell people. I was like, when they say ew, or that's gross, or whatever they say about the book, I go, no, hold on. This isn't a how-to manual. This is a warning. And then they go, oh,
Some of them are. You know, people look at power like they look at money. It's like it's taboo to talk about. But
yeah,
power is a really, really good thing to have. In fact, it's why you want the right people in power.
yeah,
And it's always like what you do with the power. Like it's like why want to be successful? Because it gives you the power to do what you want to do.
yeah,
It gives you the power to have freedom. It gives you, so power isn't this, I don't look at it as this negative thing. Now, could you use it for bad? Of course. And do people? Absolutely. But it's a really good book because Robert Greene's really one of the big takeaways I got, just not to go ahead, but like it was crazy. He talked about how he had like 11 jobs before he became an author, and all of them lasted only like 11 months.
yeah. I think at least that 11 months was his record.
His record
Yeah, that
for a
was like his
job.
record for a job.
And like he made no money at all and then wrote this book. But what he does is how well he thinks through things, and
Yeah,
how we can contextualize things, and he can think like very non-objectively, which is, or very objectively on things, not thinking dogmatically, excuse me.
yeah. He's pretty. I mean, his mind is pretty amazing. By the way, if you want to pause and grab more water, we can.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Um, so here's one of my takeaways.
Yeah.
Here's my first takeaway from that. So anyways, Ryan Holiday and Robert Greene, they are who we just said they are. And some of you probably read their work. They were doing a just kind of a talk. It's literally they had a preset agenda on a couple things and then took questions from the audience. And you and I are both readers of theirs. So we decided to go. It was at a little small theater in LA. And it was awesome. And so somebody asked me as soon as I got home, they're like, what was your first takeaway? Or what was your number one takeaway? I'm like, I don't know number one, but the first takeaway, anyways, that I can think of right now in the moment is that when people are going through historical moments, so like there's a historical time, and I think now we could all relate because of the last couple of years with what happened with COVID. Um, you don't really realize necessarily that you're going through something historical. You're just tackling what's in front of you, right? So when you think about wars or just different things that have happened in the history of the world, those people weren't necessarily thinking about, oh my God, I'm in a historical moment. Maybe they're a hero. Maybe they're going to be a hero. Maybe they're a villain. Um, they're not really thinking about that. They're just tackling what's in front of them in the moment. And for me, that was like, that's a pretty interesting take. I really hadn't considered that.
Yeah. Can you think of like defining moments in your life? Like,
100%.
and like when you were going through that moment, did you think it was defining?
No.
Or, and a lot of the times what I've seen too is like what happens after, what you do after that moment can often define that moment.
Yeah.
Like I can think of a time where Lee and I were having a really, really hard time, and it was like our second year in, and like she was like, all right, I'll leave. And like if I wouldn't have said like no, stay, who knows what would have happened. But it was after that moment was defining for me that I was like, no, because I decided in that moment I was going to work as hard as I possibly could to make it great. And that was, 9 years ago. And now she's my best friend. So, but like historical things or defining moments in your life, you don't realize
Yeah.
they're defining. And then sometimes it's your behavior after said moment that either makes it defining or not, or makes it historical or not.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so good. I hadn't even taken it down to that level, but that's a really good point. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, one of the other things I thought was interesting that they brought up, both of those guys, both Ryan Holiday and Robert Greene being the history buffs that they are, um, talked about how different things could have been. Like they used the example of the Mongols about to invade Austria.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, or when that's happening, Genghis Khan dies. And for religious reasons, they stop, don't invade Austria, and they go back because of like the ceremony and all the stuff that's got to happen when somebody dies, right? In that plant, that world, that universe. And they go, think about what happens if the Mongols actually invade Austria and how that would have changed everything for Europe. Like, in fact, it might have changed everything about for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And so there's all these things, like we think things worked out the way they worked out and it's so smooth, but one little thing could be different. What if, like, I think Ryan Holiday was one that said, he's like, what if Genghis Khan didn't die then? Or like, what if he just died 2 weeks later?
Mhm.
Everything is completely different. The
You-
whole world is different at that point.
Yeah. Do you ever think of this? Because so when you, as you were thinking that, and even that night, I was thinking of this when they were discussing that, where they're like, it's like the butterfly effect, right? One thing happens, and if that doesn't happen, then it doesn't trigger this, and it doesn't trigger that, and it doesn't trigger these other things. I always think, and this may be a little dark, so apologize. I'm an optimistic guy. I just think about this stuff too. Is like, what didn't happen that if it would have happened, you know what I mean? We wouldn't be in this, like, say, like cultural divide in America.
Yeah.
Because you think of, like, it did happen. Genghis Khan died, right? And the good for, for Europe for sure, and probably the world.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think of that in a maybe a little morbid of like, what didn't happen that if it did happen, or if it would have happened, we wouldn't have this, say, societal landscape, or we wouldn't have this, I don't know, negativity or this event.
It's crazy. I think a lot about when I think of things like that. The first thing that I think of that comes to me as the strongest example is like 9/11, because everybody who was around, or at least an adult, I think for the most part, recognizes the connectivity and pride in America. That's like the height of American pride was September 12th.
I was just gonna say September 12th.
That was the height of pride to be an American. And it's gone down ever since.
You know what's funny? And I say this about relationships, Lee and I, or a friend or anyone, I have this phrase of like, if we can't go through hard shit together, then we didn't really ever have anything. And you'll think of like the bonds that you have that are with the closest people in your life. It's because you've gone through the hardest things with them.
Yeah.
It's crazy how pain unites and comfort divides.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the saying, that, strong men make good times, good times make what is it? Make weak men make comfortable times make weak men, and weak men make for hard times. Right. And it's like, so it's like this circle of like, yeah, that's true.
It's like, because we don't have like, I mean, you go back 100 years, it's like people were not complaining about the things they're complaining about because they actually had painful things going on, like, or whatever. It was much more difficult. I don't know, painful things, but it's the pain of 9/11 was a uniting, as terrible as it was. And it's like, the lives that are lost, as shitty as that was. And obviously we'd rather of that not happened.
Yeah, for sure.
To preface that, but that it's a uniting thing. I mean, you think when you go through something hard with your family and you stick together, it's like, after you go through it, it's like, fuck, you got me.
Yeah.
I got you. Like, it's a chance to almost, like, I don't know, it's an opportunity to bond.
Yeah. What else? What jumped out to you about their talk?
I'm going to take it a little more surface on this one, which was, and it's not a surprise, but I guess when I don't understand a certain realm, like, I've never been an author. Like, if I ever wrote a book, I would have to talk into a microphone.
I always thought the same thing.
Yeah, I would have to talk into a microphone, and it would have to translate to text, just because I'm not going to sit there and write. But when you don't understand the author world or somebody who writes books, you're just like, oh, it's this. You mark it up to genius, right? Oh, they're just this genius. Oh, they're just this, like, and I have this thing that when I talk and I give a speech, it's like, how convenient for you to make somebody special so that you don't have to do what they do. And to listen to their writing process and how long it took to write books.
Painful.
And how fucking, he said he has like 10,000 note cards that he uses. So, and they read like hundreds of books to write one book. And essentially Robert Greene's books are like 10 books inside one book. I mean, if you've ever picked up his book, it's the thickness of a Bible. But both him and Ryan Holiday, because Ryan Holiday learned how to write through Robert Greene, which was just how fucking hard they work. And it's,
Yeah.
I don't know why still at my age, I'm in as many successful people I've been able to be around, and every time I get close to them, they're always insane fucking work ethics, like crazy, and if it's not, they're not working insane right now, they did for 20 plus years.
That's it. That's a good point. The common theme is like they put, if they're really successful at what they do, if they're at the top of their game, they put in the work.
Dude.
There's no overnight sensations. There's no, lottery winners, the people who are like the best at what they do, like probably without exception, like put in the work. I think of like, that makes me think of athletes, right? So I think of like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, better than, arguably, it's not even arguably, anybody who wants to argue with me can shut up. They're the two best NBA basketball players of all time.
I'll take Kobe.
And like, they worked harder than everybody. Like, that's all people talk about when you hear other basketball players talk about those two. All you hear about is the amount of work those guys put in. All of the stories are based around that and the intensity that they brought. And so whether we're talking about writing or we're talking about athletics, or we're talking about people in business, and even if life looks easy now for them, what you can guarantee, if life looks easy now and it's real, like it's not a house of cards, they put in work. Like they did the work.
Yep. 100%. And that, again, it's something I should know, but it was just crazy to see what their schedule was. And then the going into a new book, how much they enhance their identity prior to. So that's another thing. It's like, you look at this past real estate market, and people are like that had the past 2 years or 2 years ago when they had it, it was easy street and you could make, 100 grand plus a year, working 20 hours a week or whatever. People are struggling now. And I go, those people technically were struggling then. They may not have been financially, but your results in your life will find the level of where your identity's at.
Yeah.
And so the people's results 2 years ago, it outweighed their identity. And so when the market shifted, it just found their results just found their identity again. Right.
Yeah.
And so to see how much they enhance their identity by reading 100 books. I mean, when someone says it's fun to say like, I've read 100 books. Most people, like avid readers, read maybe like 10 to 12 a year. And those are people that read, they're avid readers.
Yeah.
But just how much they enhance their identity through research and through those things, they literally get, I don't know, however much more intelligence just to write this book, just for this one thing
for this project they're on.
Yeah. And this preparation. So that was another thing of like, they essentially say, in order to write this book, I have to enhance my identity in this way. And here's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, man. Just imagine that if every time I go to do something, take on a new project, start a new company, I've got to enhance my identity.
That's exactly what you have to do.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something that you haven't done before, now you can enhance your identity through experience. I mean, that's what I tend to do. I know about 50% what's going on, 50% I don't, and I just go. Yeah. Right. I mean, writing a book's very different than that. But you're right. You have to enhance your identity. 5 years ago, I didn't even know what infrastructure meant.
And I'm not real sure I know what it means.
Yeah, just water, sewer, and electric.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like you're the guy I would call if I had somebody tested it. Yeah. If I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you're my phone friend for that question. So yeah.
What else? What were some more that stuck out to you?
I think the rest for me was probably more of reminders of lessons I'd already picked up from them. Like Ryan Holiday is really good at always talking about discipline, or he talked about his series on the Stoics, like discipline is destiny. I think his next one is on justice.
Courage.
Yeah, and courage is calling. Is that the first one? So at any rate, I think a lot of it was just kind of based around how much these guys are just so invested in history. And I'm like, God, that sounds boring. But
Same.
I'm just so glad that they do it, and because they summarize and give me the highlights, basically. I mean, the highlights being, like you said, Robert Greene's books are almost like a freaking Bible. The way I describe them to people is like every chapter is like a history lesson. Every chapter in every one of his books is kind of like a history lesson. And so I think a lot of it was just more reminders of things I'd already picked up from them in the past. And for me, dude, it just was a cool experience. Like I was there. I think about the impact specifically on Robert Greene that Robert Greene has made on me and with his books. Um, Not that I don't appreciate Ryan Holiday, I appreciate him less. I don't know how to say it, than Robert Greene. So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, dude, this is just cool to be in the presence of someone who I think is like special. Like he's a
Mhm.
special human being. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are special basketball players. Like
Mhm.
he's a special author.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And then also the other part that was really amazing for me was like just doing it with a buddy, like somebody I actually care
Yeah.
about. Was like, don't get me wrong, I would have gone alone. I wouldn't have given a shit. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually happy to do stuff like that alone, but to be able to do it with someone else I know appreciated it.
Yeah. I loved
Like
it.
the moment of being in the same room with Robert and Ryan and hearing them and just talking about the nerdy ass topics that they talked about for 2 hours or whatever it was awesome.
I love it. Yeah. It's like you're you're the guy I do that with. I mean, we went and saw Peterson together, Jordan, and
Yeah.
so that was cool.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. That
One
was fun.
one thing that I love that Ryan said was he wrote the book Ego is the Enemy, and he took multiple years to study the ego and to learn to um, regulate the ego, learn to use the ego appropriately and all those things. And Robert Greene had asked him, he goes, so, you're the master of, the ego. He goes, so you don't have any challenges with your ego anymore, do you? And Ryan started laughing and basically was like, why do you think I wrote the book?
He's like, I might have the biggest problem.
Yeah. And which is, I love that because, I think sometimes, especially in like the speaking world or like the success world or something,
Yeah.
just because like I have a strategy for something, and because that strategy may work and it may work very well, does not mean I'm not struggling with it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I have it perfected, and it doesn't mean, so you got this guy who's written probably the biggest book on ego ever, and he goes, oh yeah, I still struggle with my ego all the time, and it's something that I have to regulate consistently. So yeah, there's that was cool. That vulnerability there was cool, because I'm like, yeah, I for sure struggle with like almost, when someone's like, practice what you preach, it's like I do, and practicing's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Practice is
Yeah,
hard.
I do.
It's I've noticed to look for that, like you said, kind of like in the success world, and could even call it the motivational world.
Mhm.
Normally I don't want to paint with like a paintbrush and say everyone's this way, but normally what if someone's got a singular kind of dominant message, my experience has oftentimes been that that's the thing that they actually struggle with themselves. Whether they
Totally.
admit it or realize it, that's different. In fact, a lot of them have no clue, or they refuse to. They don't actually think, they think their shit doesn't stink or whatever, and that they got it figured out. But it's usually the biggest giveaway for the thing that they're struggling with.
Yeah. Or something in their life that was like I know people out there that like their whole goal is to get people to, their whole message is like save money on taxes. It's like they got fucked, like
Yeah,
they went through an
dude,
experience where,
it's funny you say that,
yeah,
because I remember I tell people this when I'm like, no, call my attorney. Hey, let me tell you the story about the day I walked into this office for my consultation. That day literally put $50,000 in my pocket within 6 months of that meeting, from that one meeting.
yeah,
And at that time in my life, that $50,000, it might as well have been $2 million.
yeah.
It meant everything to me. I had a 1-year-old, not
Oh,
even a
wow.
1-year-old at the point, and I owed the IRS like 20 something $1,000. And there was not only did that go away, but then I got back 50,
So cool.
like within 6 months of that time, because of something I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And so it is, dude. So yeah, I think, it's kind of like the joke, like I think everybody can relate to this. Absolutely do not trust the person that says, trust me.
Yeah.
Like that's the guy
Yeah.
you're holding your wallet when you're around for
Yeah.
sure. If they're like, no, 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 trust me, like, yeah, I think maybe I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We were just talking about that. The guy that brings up everybody else's ego usually has the biggest one himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, for sure. So that was another thing that, from where they're at their world, that, they still
Yeah.
have those struggles and they still think about it and work on it.
Yeah. What else is going on with you, dude?
What else is going on with me? Had some really good meetings this week. I was like you saw those defining moments, like surreal moments,
Yeah.
like, when people tell you like get in rooms that you don't belong in, and like you'll get in rooms and like, there's people in those rooms. Like I had a meeting yesterday and with a bank, and it was a guy that works for a bank. I won't name the bank, but I'm like, how much money do you manage for the bank? And he goes, 40 billion. I'm like, so you sign off on 40 billion? Because yeah. I go, what's that like? And so he goes into it and he's like, yeah, sometimes I ask myself, why do I do this?
Yeah.
But it was he got into the bank when they were like a $5 billion bank, and now they're $70+ million bank. And just in the room and being able to like be around that and how those people think, and they can, he's in charge of a small country.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
So speaking of that, like getting in rooms, that's something I've always tried to do. It's
Mhm.
always something I've made an effort to do, whether it's like I got to write a check to get in the room, or I can get in the room because of a relationship or something. Sometimes I'm in that room. I continue to do it because I'm like, I feel like worst case, I'm going to learn something.
Mhm.
Most likely I'm going to meet somebody or develop a deeper relationship with somebody I know. And those things are valuable to me. Um, Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, why the fuck am I in this room? Like
Yeah.
it sounds cute. It sounds stage talky, like for me to go, yeah, I'll write a check to be in the room. And sometimes it's swing and a miss, but I don't know about you, but I still see tremendous value in putting myself in a room with people that are, I don't want to say doing better than me, but could be doing better than me, or might just be doing different than me,
Mhm.
or something I'm interested in, or whatever. Kind of like Ryan Holiday and Robert Greene. Like I found value in putting myself in a room with those two guys. Even though it's not like we were standing there just talking, the four of us.
Mhm.
That's really valuable to me. What about you? What about you?
You're better than that than me. And I'll be vulnerable with you. It's like I've caught myself saying this before, and this is dude, you always bring just the realness out of me. So this isn't like say, but I'm like, I don't go to an event unless I'm speaking at it. And I've caught myself saying that in my head. And you're really good at connecting um with people, and you're better than that at me, because there's a vulnerability to walking into a room and like introducing yourself and hanging out and asking questions and whatnot. So I've been backstage so many times and nobody asks you a question, they just tell you how awesome they
How
are.
awesome. They give you
you
their
know
resume real
I'm
quick.
like, wow. Except I was backstage and there's at this conference, I won't name the conference, but like literally just everyone's just how awesome they are. And your buddy who I met through you, Andrew Franklin, walks back there, right? And he's like, what's up, man? Been wanting to meet you. Shakes my hand. He's like, so, and asked me like a million questions. I was like, and then, I asked him questions. We had a great conversation, and he's an awesome dude. Anyways, we
He
had a good
he's
convo.
an incredible person, and he's also incredibly intelligent.
Yeah. You can tell almost like immediately.
That's a sign of intelligence right there.
Listening is a sign of intelligence,
What'd you say?
listening.
What?
Yeah. Right.
It's a sign of
It
intelligence.
is.
That's a little
So,
joke for the listeners at home. They couldn't see the sarcasm on my face.
um, so you're better than that than me, and I need to. I work on it consciously in my head. What I do a little differently, getting in those rooms, I can't tell you how many people, like for example, when we started this development company 5 years ago or whatnot, like how many people I called in the Phoenix area that were developers, and I just called them and I just, hey, can I pay you for your time? I would love to. You guys are doing this and this and this and this, and it's like so impressive. Do you mind if can we meet? Like I'm gonna be up in Phoenix this weekend. I'll pay you for your time, and I would just throw out a number like I'll pay you $5,000 for your time or whatever it's worth. I'm sure it's worth way more than that, but I'd love to meet with you. And you know what? So far, I'm 100%. 100% on them meeting with me, them sharing their knowledge, and them not charging me.
Of course.
And it's like people are genuinely eager to help, especially if you're willing to notice the work that they've done. And especially if you're willing to go, you've done this, and this. Wow.
They're especially willing to help it. And I think they're prone to it because it's like, well, this is a guy that would actually take action. And we all want to talk to people who make shit happen. No one wants to talk to somebody that's just there to chew on more information and then not do anything with it, right? You and I have had that conversation 100 times. I want to go back to the event thing though. Don't let me forget.
Yeah, no worries.
But on this thing, would you write the check though? If they're like, yeah, write me the check.
Oh yeah, I do. They're called attorneys. So like, yeah. Like, I mean, honestly, when it comes to any business I'm starting now or any avenue or anything with dealing with municipalities or anything whatsoever, I find the best attorney I possibly can that is in that avenue, and I pay them for their information. I pay them to make sure that I'm following it right and I'm doing it right. But writing the check, yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many. I look at it. I think that's just recently. I think recently in the past like 3 or 4 years, I've been less that way because, I mean, I've been to 10 Anthony Robbins conferences. I was doing 4 or 5 seminars a year at one point. And I think I've like gotten into certain rooms. I don't know. And maybe I've just got a sour taste in my mouth, but I just got to be better at that.
Seminar. I love seminars.
Yeah.
And they can wear on me. I call them seminar people. People with the language. Mm-hmm. They're like, they say the right things.
Yeah.
And there's no action to line up with it. But that's a different topic.
Yeah.
But I love that idea. That you also remind me of. So I just recently read a book. It's not new. It's old. It's probably a decade old. Living with a Seal by Jesse Itzler.
Oh.
And there's this line at the beginning of the book where he's talking about how he makes contact with a seal, which turns out to be David Goggins, by the way, where he goes, I do this thing where if I see somebody and I want to meet them, I just hunt them down and I call them and I basically make them my friend. Yeah. And I was like, me too.
That sounds very Jesse.
Yeah. Right.
I haven't read the book, but
the book is super entertaining, by the way. It's amazing. I just read it and by read it, I mean, listen to it in the last 4 months. So it's so awesome.
Did I tell you about my David Goggins experience?
No.
So we fly into this airport in Henderson, Nevada, and we get out and or we're leaving the airport and we get out and we get in the car to leave, and Lee's looking, kept turning around, looking. I'm like, what are you looking at? She's like, I think that's David Goggins. And I turn around and we're in the car with my windows down. He's just right to the left. I'm like, Goggins. And he lifts his head up. He's like, what's up? And I'm like, respect. He's like, fuck yeah, motherfucker. Keep on. And then we drove away. He's David Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Fuck yeah, motherfucker.
So you'll love this. Some of my buddies were on a flight on Monday to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
He was on their flight.
No way.
And only one of the guys, Nolan, so Nolan is the only one of this group of friends. They're all sitting in first class where Goggins is.
Yeah.
And they text our buddy Nolan. They're like, dude, you're not going to believe this. Goggins is up here. He loves Goggins. And so he finds some excuse to walk up into first class and he's like, hey, to his buddy Daniel, you got some gum or something? So while he's reaching for his gum, he turns, he's like, what's up? Takes a picture with him and he's stay hard.
He really says that?
Yeah.
Says stay hard.
He said it to Goggins.
No, he said it to Goggins.
He said it to Goggins.
What did Goggins say?
I don't know what he said. It doesn't matter. The fact that he said it to him. That's awesome.
That's cool. That is cool.
That is so cool.
I love it when people are like there's no, we were walking in the I love it when people are who they are. Without
that's really who they are.
Yeah. Yes. It really is who he is.
Back to the room thing for a second. So
yeah, hit me.
So, what's funny is because you said how I'm good at sort of introducing myself and being outgoing or whatever. What I've noticed though is I'm more quiet in those rooms when I don't know somebody. I tend to listen and be way more, I don't know if shy is the right word, but maybe more shy than I normally am. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's because I'm not sure if I should be there, but for me, it's a comforting thing of well, this is how I'm going to feel. I think this is how I feel things out to see if I'm gonna, if is there a way for me to get some value out of this room? And I'm willing to quote unquote waste time or like kind of strike out on an event or being in a room to find out if there was, if it was it worth spending time with, like with this group of people or whatever. And maybe that's not as productive as I think it is, but it's something I tend to like doing for some reason, or maybe I don't like it. It's just maybe it's my comfortable go-to. I don't know.
Well, and so your comfortable go-to is to go enter the rooms and just kind of like,
I just go like, because I don't always know if I'm going to have value, if I'm going to get value from
what
it.
room are you specifically thinking of right now?
Oh, I mean, I could use a ton of rooms, but like, let's use Genius
Genius
Network as an
Network. Okay.
example. I go in there, I write the check. I feel like I don't belong in there. And I'm really quiet just because I'm like, I'm trying to figure out who's around me
Mhm.
and like, who do I want to talk to? What do I want to talk about? I don't know. Like, and I just kind of want to absorb things. But I've gone to, I'm trying to think of maybe what some other, like, I've just gone to random networking events before,
See
quote unquote networking
those
events.
events, that's my wheelhouse. 50, 100 people. I mean, I like the less people, the better,
Yeah.
you know? Now when I'm going to, what I don't do that is better on the bigger events, I don't plan well. That's something you do really well. So like on the bigger events that where they're much larger, and I've done this in the past and it's awesome. Find out who's going, ask for time,
Yes.
ask for time, ask for meeting. I always make sure I love the speakers that are going. Like we were just talking NLA Live this year.
Yeah.
Where you've got like Camille. I can't wait to meet her. She's your coach. I don't know. She's amazing. I don't know. You've introduced me to her. I've sent her like multiple clients just
Yeah.
because I love her through you, you know,
Yep.
and they just adore her. So I can't wait for that. And like, you know, Ben Kenny and like people really doing, I mean, people that are like in it, and that's cool. Veronica or who else is coming?
Let's see, we got Katie DeWitt. I don't
Oh
actually
yeah.
know if you know Katie.
I've met Katie. Yep. She's awesome.
Pace Morby,
Pace.
who's
Yeah.
like the real estate train. He's like the modern day Carlton Sheets.
Yeah.
Is really who Pace is. Brian Gubernick,
And he,
um,
Ubernick's awesome.
Via Williams.
Via. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else have we actually announced? That's really bad that I can't think of all the names
Yeah.
faces right now. Michael Burnoff,
Burnoff. Yeah.
dude, I adore as a person and as a speaker. Like,
Yeah.
to me,
So like that lineup is like that. Like those are all people like I'm fired up to see. It's like even when I go see, whether I go see like going to see Robert Greene or Jordan Peterson or
yeah,
something like that, like that the people on stage are the real deal, and I'm there for that. There's other events where it's like you gotta go there. Like I'm going to your event to see the freaking speakers.
yeah,
You know, where other events you go there and you need to go there for the people that are going to go there.
yeah,
And then you need to make sure that you reach out, that you plan, that you're prepared, and you do that very well.
yeah. I try to. I try to. Yeah, I try to for sure.
Yeah,
And I'm comfortable like not having a plan too. And like
totally. You're good at that
I'm
too.
comfortable just like sitting there and like seeing what happens.
Yeah,
Like, who do I run into? Like,
yeah,
how do I maximize this? When there's definitely been times where I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I would not have gone to that.
yeah. I need to just start coattailing you to all these events.
Bro, we'd have a blast.
Yeah, you put it. Have Fred plan it all with everybody, and then we'll just fucking show up.
Luckily, Bree's in my life
Oh,
now,
Bree's
so
the
Fred
shit.
doesn't have
Yeah,
to do as much of that. But
she's awesome.
she's is so good. Last week, or I mean this week at EXPCon, yeah, I said last week. Today's actually a Friday, so I like this week feels like last week.
Yeah, you just got back yesterday.
So many agents, we were around so many people, and so many people came up to me, were like, dude, Bree's amazing. We love her.
Dude, she is like, yeah, she is amazing.
She is. If you've ever been to any of our events, like in the last 2 years, like, Bree, and she's awesome.
She's so, yeah, she's like, she's so dialed, and she's always like seems to be full of joy.
Yeah.
And
She's
like
always in a
ready,
really
like,
good mood. Very,
yeah,
very rarely in the almost 2 years we've worked together, very rarely have I not seen her in a good mood.
yeah,
I don't think I've actually ever even seen her in a bad mood,
yeah,
but only a few times have I seen her not in a good mood,
yeah.
which
She's
is pretty
dialed.
awesome.
She's on top of it. Yeah.
She's good people for sure.
And for what she does too, like I love there's people that do that job and that they're spazzes.
Yes.
They're like a chicken with their head cut off, she does it with such poise. And I like that.
She's pretty calm and cool.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about her, she does what I do, which is you could say something to her that she's actually not sure of, and she'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I got it."
And then she goes and
And then
figures
she's
it
like,
out.
"Oh, I got to go figure this out."
Yeah.
She's like, she'll come to me. She's like, "What did so and so mean with when they said what?" And I'm like, "Oh, here's what that is." Like, I do the same thing. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I got it." I'm like, write down the way he said that so I can go look that up real quick.
That's how I built my businesses.
Yeah, just figuring it out.
I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, we're in. Yep. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I got to learn with whatever that
whatever
is.
that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Where were we? All
yeah.
right.
We're
So
just talking about
events.
getting in the
Yeah.
right room with.
So NLA Live, you're speaking there too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm really excited.
I think you're gonna
How's the green room gonna look, dude?
Full of energy drink. I had this thought the other day because somebody we were talking about drinks and Chris Bowers and I and Fred, we were talking about Russell Shaw and Brittany Bowers, and Brittany was saying there was this event she coordinated when she was over at HomeSmart where they brought in Russell to speak, and he shows up and it's at like some event center, whatever it is, and she's like, "Can I get you anything before we start?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'd love a Coke Zero," which, by the way, if you've ever heard Russell speak or seen him speak, he oftentimes has a Coke Zero, and he pounds those things.
He's a legend.
And for so many reasons, he's a legend.
So many.
And she's like, "Damn, we didn't have Coke Zero." I didn't share it with them because like the subject moved, but I was like, I started thinking about how you and I had played this game with each other. It's like, because we both like drinks.
Yeah.
Like we just like drinks. And so we'd always try to outdo each other. Like if I went to Havasu to speak for you, or you came down to Phoenix to speak for me, like the amount of drinks just got so ridiculous. I remember one time walking in and it was like a table twice this, I don't know, 6 feet long. And it was end to end full of drinks. And I was like, all right, Dustin wins. This is ridiculous.
Smart Water, Fiji, Celsius, Red Bull, Monster.
Yeah. Like 17 different brands of like energy drinks, 5 different types of water.
Dude,
you name it.
Dude, if you're going to be speaking,
I love it.
No, I'm really excited for it. I'm really, I'm glad that you put that together. I appreciate you doing that. And dude, those are like, if I would have put together my dream, like seminar list, like, or like event list, dude, I mean, that you hit it out.
Dude, we're stacked and we've got a few more speaker announcements to make. We're not even done yet. But
that's cool.
I do that because I hate going to events that suck.
I know, dude.
So like you talked about the event where like I want to hear the speakers, and then there's the events where you actually only go because of the people that are going. I want both. I want both. Totally. And so one of the things that I do that's important to me, I should say, is to make sure that the speakers who are going to speak just fucking bring it. Right. Like they're like that. Camille alone should be worth the trip. Pace alone should be worth the trip. Dustin alone should be worth it. All of that stuff. Right. Ben and Brian, everybody should be worth the trip on their own. You should be able to learn something from each speaker that is worth the cost, not just of the ticket, but of your trip and of your time.
I totally agree. What I love about your lineup too, and this is another thing I noticed, there's people that are really, really good at business. I mean, really good. And like far better than me, right? And they get on stage and you're like snooze fest, right? Because they're not a speaker.
Yeah.
Dude, everyone you have here is an incredible business person. Like they've massively successful, been in the business 20 plus years, and they're all good speakers.
And they're really good on stage.
They're all really good on stage. Like
Yeah.
Brian's insane on stage.
Yeah.
Ben insane on stage. Camille's going to be fire, burn off, obviously. Yeah. It's you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. I hate going to events where it's like, this is not me picking on KW, but KW this was my first experience of it. All the companies do it. The only people that got on stage were the people that like said the company line, had the certain model, would sell the coaching, whatever. And there's so much more value in having a bigger box, like having don't think outside the box. Like just have a bigger box,
Mhm.
like have more options
I like that.
and show more because like there's a lot we can learn from, I think from everybody. And so why not open that up and provide more value and not just put people on stage because, you know, I don't want to put people on stage because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
In fact, I won't. I just legit will not put people on stage that I feel like I have to, because then I just want out of that relationship.
Yeah.
If I feel like I have to do something for them, uh, I I want to I want to do for. It's like with you. I'm like the first time I ever said, "Hey, I want to have Dustin come speak at whatever." It was because I wanted other people. I was like, other people need to hear this. Like I want other people to experience Dustin the way I've experienced it. I want other people to experience Camille the way I experienced it, or Ben, or Pate, just people, all that stuff. So I think about it like that. Like there's certain things about every event I go to where I'm like, yeah, I will not do that in my event.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, I love that they did this. Like taking note. I want to do that. Like, so it will not be the best production that you've ever seen.
Mhm.
The content will be fire.
Fucking A. You know, it's so dope. You just threw it. You're just going to throw an event with all your friends. Isn't that cool?
Yes, absolutely.
Like that's how I feel like with my companies. I literally just work with all my friends. And
Well,
like,
if they were assholes, I wouldn't ask them to speak.
no, totally. But they will also wouldn't be your friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Like you created this crazy lineup from your buddies.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's why I say I like the Jesse Itzler thing. I was like, I would like just turn people, whether they're willing or not, like I'll turn
We're
them
gonna
into
be
my
friends.
friends.
Yeah.
They might
Yeah.
not know it. I might not actually tell them, but I'm secretly going like, yeah, we're going to be friends,
Yeah.
and, cause I want to be friends with people I can learn from.
Yeah.
Who wants to be friends with dumb people? I mean, I've done
Yeah.
that. I know you have too.
Oh yeah. 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 100%.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can learn from dumb people too, though.
Yeah, you learn what not to do a
Yeah.
lot. I always say some I've got some friends that yeah, I've got some old friends and
There's a guy, he's like an author and speaker and really just hosts a podcast now and does some stuff. But his name's Rob Bell. He used to listen to him a lot more than I do, but
oh yeah.
he used to say like he calls it a South Star. So, or
Yeah.
you call it a warning.
Yeah.
Be an example, not a warning.
Yeah.
He's like his term is South Star.
Yeah.
Like that's okay. That's okay that you ran into that person in your life.
Yeah.
It's a South Star for you.
Yeah.
It's now you know the direction you're not going.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I'll talk to you a little bit more of that when we get off this, and
Oh.
I'll go into that because I have I have a thought on that too. So
Oh, I can't wait to hear
yeah.
it.
What's going on? What are you excited about outside NLA Live?
It's about all I can think about right now.
Yeah.
NLA Live, work wise, anyways.
Yeah.
Some exciting stuff. I'm excited about some new EXP partners that I can't really say names yet.
Yeah.
Excited about, for the first time. So I'm excited about the real estate market, actually.
Mhm.
I like that it's challenging.
Same.
I like that it's hard. I like that it's presenting new opportunities. Part of the reason Pace is speaking is, quite frankly, is because and you and I were talking about this earlier about like, there's more opportunities in this market from like an investment standpoint. And it's not even just investment. I think there's more opportunities to do deals that are quote unquote outside the box
Mhm.
than there ever has been in, quite some time.
Mhm.
And, so I'm excited about that. Really excited about hopefully buying some more real estate that way. I'm excited about some stuff family wise. We got a big trip planned in a couple months.
Where are you going?
Costa Rica.
Fuck yeah.
I'm excited for that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like the real estate market too. If you're a leader right now, you're excited.
oh yeah.
You're excited because leaders are needed now more than ever,
I'm
especially in this.
sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Joe on my team, Joe.
Yep.
You met him. So he
Awesome
stepped
guy,
he
too.
stepped up into the role of like director of sales about 10 months ago. And he's really stepped up. Like he's really learning a lot. He's learned a lot this year. He's got a lot of momentum. And I'm excited about how much he's already grown, but I'm more excited about like the path that I feel like he's on and where he's going. And so where I think he and Jill, who is the other half of, I'll call it our our team, our executives team, if you will, the people that actually make shit happen,
Mhm.
is I feel like between the two of them, the future of our sales business group 4610 is awesome.
Mhm.
Like I love the direction that's headed in. We partnered with Place. And so when you take the stuff from Place, that the support and training that they provided and opportunities, and to see what Jill and Joe have both done with that has got me super excited.
That's cool.
So
That's really cool. Yeah, you can tell he's taken full ownership of that. He's a great guy. And yeah.
you know what else I'm really excited about right now?
What?
Uh he was probably downstairs when you walked in. I can't call him a kid. He's still a kid. Efren.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you saw him down there
Yep.
making calls. He was down there making calls when I walked in. Um, he's been with us for about 3 years now. He's had his license for about 3 years. His business has grown every year. He's got more. He's already sold as many homes this year as he did all of last year.
That's awesome.
Even though most people I know are backward or
Yep.
down. And he just went under contract on his first home.
Oh, that's awesome. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
That's like the best thing
He
ever.
he
Like
he texted me last weekend
ever.
with it. I was like, dude, I was I felt so much joy for him. I was so proud of him and so excited. Like I was like, oh, that was awesome. I was like watching my kid take her first steps.
Dude, yeah. I pray like everyone like grows enough and if you just commit to growth like till you're dead and just grow and grow and grow, you will get to have those experiences all the time. Because the cool thing you talked about, like effect, right? Like here's the thing that happened and then what happens after that,
Oh yeah.
right at the very beginning of the podcast. um the cool thing about growth is it allows for contribution.
Yeah.
The more you grow, the more you're able to contribute. The more you grow your business, the more you're able to contribute to the lives of others, the more you're able to give back to your community, the more you're able to contribute to your family, the more it's like, having a small business, like, and no offense to anyone that has just like, a one man show, which is fine. And it's like grow, grow that, grow that business so that you can impact more lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, staying small does not, I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of value in it personally. Staying small with your mind or anything. Cause, here's another thing I've learned as I've gone bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger is, uh, big's way easier too.
Isn't that funny?
It really is. It may take a little bit more risk. It may take like, it may take more. It's going to take more people. It's going to take a lot better people. It's going to take more leadership. But man, I was way more overwhelmed with 3 people on my team than I am with 25 doing 500. Like I'm because of the amount of, because when you grow, and I remember Ben Kenny saying this once, and I think it was him, but like grow your business bubble so that just badasses could fucking live in it.
Yeah.
And when you get to that point, it is like, oh, it's the best.
It's so true.
I work with people that I'm in awe of all day long. All I get to do is just go, I can't, what? You what? What? We're what? You did this? What? Like that are just crushing. And you get to get those text messages of like, hey, I just bought my first house. Hey, I just made 450,000 net this year. Hey, I just made this happen or made this happen. I got my director of operations building a $2 million home in one of our subdivisions. It's like, this is the shit.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
I'm so happy for him.
Me too. Me too. Like
That's
I drive
awesome.
by it and I take pictures and I'm just like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited about the real estate space too. Like you were saying this, and I won't say who said it, but like I hope it stays like this for a long time because it's outside of like high interest rates for the consumer, you're going to get a harder working real estate agent right now.
Yeah.
You're going to get someone that's diligent. You're going to get someone that's skilled. You're going to get a better agent because in order to survive right now, you better be good. In order to do well right now, you better be great. And in order to thrive, you better be fucking outstanding.
Yeah. And like your skill level has to be there, right? So that means you literally have to do the job. Like you got to show up. Your desire to show up has to be there. Your desire to like contribute to others has to be like, right now requires so much more. Like going back to that identity thing, if if our result is here, our identity has to be actually right now has to be way higher.
Mhm.
Like, now eventually they're gonna catch up to each other because they do, right? Whether it's going down or up. But like you actually have to put in the work. It's kind of like I hate the saying because you know how I dress, but like dress for the job that you want, not the one that you have.
Yeah.
You ever heard that saying? Well, it's like you have to actually be the person that that would deserve that, that higher thing than you really have.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I tell when I'm recruiting to our team right now, if you're not committed to working 50 hours a week plus, we're not going to be a fit.
just go somewhere else.
Because that's just what that's just what it takes. Full commitment, and it's commitment to discipline, commitment to skill building, commitment to consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool.
A lot of things.
Yeah. It attracts the right people right now. Like also too, I think Cheplak said this. He's like, people that joined real estate in 2008 or 9 are licking their chops right now. And
Yeah.
it's so true. Cause like, if you get in when a market's like this, no different. And you end up building these skills. Like we got into it at almost the same time,
Yeah.
real estate. And like, it was different and difficult and short sales and, all the foreclosures and whatnot, but like you actually had to put it in.
You did.
And so we didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I didn't know short sales sucked.
Thought it was, it's like, yeah, was it hard? Yeah, I thought it was hard. And then I went, oh, that was easy. Like, and it just made everything else easier.
Yeah.
Like it literally, I was like, well, people ask me like, oh, how did you grow your team? I'm like, well, it's kind of not fair. Like I had an advantage. They're like, what? What do you mean you had an advantage? I'm like, well, it was short sales. They're like, yeah, wasn't that harder? I'm like, oh, I guess so. But then like, because I did it, it actually made everything else easier.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. So when someone asks me like, is now a good time to get in real estate? It's literally the best time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a committed soul, because you're going to develop the habits and you're going to develop the skill, especially if you get with a good organization. You're going to be the real deal.
If you can get in now and succeed, it'll be the best time since like 07, 08, 09, to have gotten in real estate, guaranteed. No doubt about it, because it's a challenge.
Yeah, I agree.
In the best way.
100%.
Anything else on your mind today?
No, dude, I love you.
I love you too, man.
I love spending time with you, and thanks for having me. Yeah, you're an awesome dude, and I love you a lot.
I feel the same.
Yeah. And I'm excited for I'm excited for NLA Live.
Me
it's
too.
gonna be fucking fun. And I promise to I promise to put myself out there.
You're gonna be there?
Yeah, dude.
You're gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it.
Dude, I remember the first NLA Live, and I felt so bad because I had you go last because my thought process was like, Dustin's gonna fire everybody up. And it really took everything you had to fire everybody. Well, it was the end of the day. We packed everybody into one day and didn't give them lunch.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Like we actually had no lunch break that day.
It was still so fun.
And it was great. And I was like, instantly I felt so bad in the moment of like making Dustin go last. And
well, I felt bad for Abrams afterwards because he went after me.
Wait, did he go after you?
Well, he went after me, but he was going after to talk about his coaching company.
Oh, that's right. That's because he kind of came back and did like a coaching company thing.
Jason, yeah.
But dude, I was like, instantly I felt bad, but I was like, no, I actually was right though. I knew it would be lower energy. It's the very end of the day, and you crushed it.
Yeah,
and
dude,
you crushed it.
Put me wherever. I'm never gonna complain. Ever.
I know that about
put me
you.
Ever. Put me in during lunch. I don't care.
During lunch. You would actually.
I would.
I know you would.
So I'm excited.
Me too.
I love you and I appreciate you, dude.
Love you, brother.
All right, man.
All right, guys. See you next week on Next Level Agents podcast.